I am deeply saddened, and frankly, I'm angry that under President Biden, the Department of Justice and the FBI were weaponized and its integrity badly, badly compromised. So Jack Smith was not investigating a crime based on evidence. He issued subpoenas to get the toll records of the following senators: Mike Lee, seated to my right; Josh Hawley; Lindsey Graham; John Kennedy, seated to my right; Marsha Blackburn; Ron Johnson; Rick Scott; Bill Hagerty; Dan Sullivan; Tommy Tuberville; Cynthia Lummis, and myself. That's over 20% of the Republicans in the United States Senate. Mr. O'Leary, is it consistent with the obligations of the Department of Justice and the FBI to issue subpoenas with no factual basis and no legal basis?
Senator, it is not, and in my experience, FBI agents would never approach a matter without the proper justification and articulable facts to open their investigation.
Okay, good. So you said they would never do that. Judge Boasberg signed an order, I'm holding the order right here, in which he concludes, and I'm going to read: the court finds reasonable grounds to believe that such disclosure, in other words, notifying the senators on that list, will result in destruction of or tampering with evidence, intimidation of potential witnesses, and serious jeopardy of the investigation. Are you aware of any factual basis whatsoever that a dozen senators will destroy evidence?
I am not, but I will tell you that non-disclosure orders are a routine part of investigations.
Based on facts. Give me any hypothetical fact. By the way, do you know any facts that I will destroy evidence? Let's take it me personally.
I cannot,
Because Jack Smith went into court and said, I will destroy evidence if I know about the subpoena. And this clown signed the order one after the other after the other. Are you aware of any basis? Look, I'm a member of the bar. I take my obligations seriously. The FBI signed off on that. Mike Lee concluded he would destroy evidence. John Kennedy, well, Louisiana, maybe. I will say, I'll give a special dispensation for the great state of Louisiana. But there is no basis. By the way, is it consistent with DOJ's obligation to also ask a judge to violate the law and not inform the judge of it?
No, it would not be.
Well, 2 U.S.C. Section 6628 explicitly bars non-disclosure orders applying to the Senate. And yet, in the lawless Department of Justice, I assume they didn't tell Judge Boasberg, hey, we're asking you to violate the law. Would you sign this? Do you assume that as well?
You would have to ask the DOJ that, but you make a good point, Senator.
Among other issues, it raises significant issues with the speech and debate clause, correct?
Absolutely.
So much so that, as you noted, when Jack Smith subpoenaed AT&T to get my toll records, AT&T refused to comply with the subpoena because they concluded that it violated the speech and debate clause. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct, and they backed down.
Jack Smith did not try to enforce that subpoena, did he?
He did not.
He did not go to court and litigate the matter, did he?
He did not.
Does that suggest, as it does to me, that he knew damn well what he was doing was illegal and would not be upheld in court?
It does suggest that.
Aside from the legal violations, what specific crimes, if any, were actually uncovered as a result of the Arctic Frost investigation?
I'm not aware of any crimes that were uncovered.
Would the senators, donors, organizations, and individuals who were surveilled and subpoenaed have ever learned about the Arctic Frost investigation had Trump not won in 2024?
Probably not, mainly because of these non-disclosure orders, but also, I mean, the fact that a lot of these records we're now just learning about them because they were in these prohibited access files only available to the FBI director. So if the FBI director was a Democrat, there's no reason to think we'd know about them.
How would you compare the scope of the violations in Arctic Frost to Watergate?
I think, if anything, it might even be greater. I mean, the scope of this in terms of the sheer number of people and organizations affected, and as I discussed, I mean, this brazen violation of attorney-client privilege, wiretapping a phone call between Susie Wiles and her lawyer, these are egregious offenses. And you know, if Watergate was just about a single break-in, I mean, this is effectively, compound that by 200.
Imagine for just one moment that President Trump's Department of Justice had secretly obtained the phone records of Senator Schumer, and Senator Whitehouse, and Senator Durbin, Senator Hirono, and Senator Padilla. My Democrat colleagues would be losing their minds right now in this hearing if the Trump Department of Justice had done that. Imagine if a Republican Attorney General, a Republican FBI Director, and a Republican appointed judge had all signed off on a covert effort to sweep up the communications, locations, data, and call history of every Democrat-affiliated organization and individual in the United States. Imagine if a judge, a Republican appointed judge, signed an order that said Senator Durbin will destroy evidence if he is aware of this subpoena, because that's what this judge did. Would anyone in this hearing room call that routine? Would Democrats call that normal law enforcement activity? Would the press shrug its shoulders? Of course not. There would be wall-to-wall coverage. There would be cries of authoritarianism. There would be emergency hearings, demands for resignations, and talk of impeachment before the sun went down. Instead, my Democrat colleagues can barely get their heart rate above 60 beats per minute. Arctic frost is the culmination of a gross pattern of abuse by Democrats for partisan ends to elect and re-elect a Democrat president. In 2016, Obama's FBI began spying on the Trump campaign just a month before Election Day. In 2020, Biden's FBI met with Senators Johnson and Grassley in an effort to throw off their investigation into the now infamous Hunter Biden laptop, calling the laptop disinformation, a claim we now know was false. The FBI went to the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee and lied to him in an effort to change the outcome of a presidential election. Democrats for years have exhibited the pattern of abusing public law enforcement powers for the sake of politics. A pattern this committee, under the leadership of Chairman Grassley, is now working to uncover and expose. Because no administration, Republican or Democrat, has any business turning the surveillance powers of the federal government against its political opposition. 50 years ago, this nation was confronted with an abuse of power, and it responded not with indifference, but with accountability. And I'll tell you one of the big differences of Watergate versus Arctic frost. When Richard Nixon and his corrupt attorney general and his corrupt administration abused their law enforcement powers to go after their political opponents, Republican senators stood up to the president of their own party and defended the rule of law. Where is even a single Democrat senator who has said one word about this abuse of power? Is there not one? There are 47 Democrats in this body. Is there not one who can come forward and say, you know what? Turning the Department of Justice into the Oppo research and attack machine of the DNC is not what the DOJ is supposed to be. We were tested then, and there was accountability. We are being tested again now. The question is really simple. Will we uphold the same standard? Will we defend the rule of law? Or will we abandon it?